name is Liesl Phillips. I'm the Industrial Relations Manager here at Labournet, and I oversee industrial relations in KZN. So that's our Durban branch as well as our Zululand satellite.
All right. So you always got to ask yourself the question, industrial relations, what is that in terms of business? How does that fit in?
Yeah, that's a very good question, because I think a lot of people don't understand what the word industrial relations means. So industrial relations, also known as employee relations, is basically the management of the relationship between employer and employee, obviously in line with labour legislation. All right. So here at Labournet, what we try and do is try and be involved throughout the entire employee life cycle. So typically when employment commences, we make sure that our clients have a contract of employment stipulating terms and conditions of employment in line with legislation. We try and ensure that there's a policy manual with rules and procedures, that the employees are aware of that. And that would typically be so that if the Department of Labour walks in, our clients are compliant. All right. Then the service becomes a bit more reactive. What we mean by that is we deal with issues as they come up. So anything employee related, and that can be from drafting a warning, chairing a disciplinary hearing, facilitating a retrenchment process, incapacity, grievance, right up until the CCMA.
Okay. When does this relationship start with a company? When does it start?
Again, a very good question, because I think there's a lot of misperception in terms of when the employment relationship actually commences. So the minute an offer is made and that offer is accepted, the employment relationship starts. So to give you a practical example, if we make an offer to a financial manager and subsequent to that offer find out that the employee has a criminal record, naturally one wants to retract that offer. The bad news is we cannot unilaterally retract it, and some form of a process needs to happen. In this case, either a disciplinary hearing or incapacity, depending on the merits of the case.
All right. So now we come to the negative side of it, but the termination of such a contract, how does that process happen?
All right, so in terms of termination, there's only ever three ways that we can terminate an employee services. One being the misconduct route, which typically takes the form of a disciplinary hearing. Operational requirements, better known as the retrenchment process, as well as incapacity, which is broken up into ill health and poor work performance. Now, this is where it can get quite technical, and why it's important to partner up with a business that actually is a specialist in this field. Because irrespective of the route we follow, we need to satisfy two legs. One being that we followed the correct and fair process, and the other being the substantive element, in that the penalty fit the crime. So just again, a practical example, if we have an employee in our business who's been dishonest, irrespective of whether that employee pleads guilty or admits to the misconduct, we cannot purely issue a notice of dismissal. We need to follow some form of a process, in this case probably a disciplinary hearing. And then on the flip side, even if we do follow a disciplinary hearing, it's not always necessarily that the outcome is going to be dismissal. Dismissal needs to always be used as a last resort. So we really have to justify why dismissal is the appropriate outcome or penalty. So we really need to be cautious in terms of making sure that we, number one, follow the correct process and fairly terminate the employee services.
Okay. And you sort of got that sort of wrapped up so nicely. In a summary, if you had to look at your position here at Labournet, why would a person use you as opposed to your opposition? Or don't put it that way, why would they use you?
Okay, so again, like I said, especially with IR, it gets quite technical. Mm-hmm. You don't want to end up at the CCMA sitting with a matter that can go skew, or you don't want to lose your matter on a technical point. So that's why it's so important to make sure you partner up with someone that are absolutely specialists in the field. And why partner up with Labournet? I think Labournet is so client orientated, and we really focus on client retention. We're really there to walk a long road with our clients.